Good afternoon, viewers. Welcome back to Easy Mathematics. So today we want to look at the question 5 for the BECE 2023. That is what we want to look at for today. So it says that Madam AC used 1/4 and 2/3 of her X acres of land to cultivate mangoes and oranges, respectively. So with this preamble, we are being asked to answer the following questions. Now, since we see respectively here, then it means that the first name is for the first fraction, which is mangoes, and the second name is for the second fraction, which is oranges. So Madam AC used 1/4 of her X acres of land to cultivate mangoes and 2/3 of her X acres of land to cultivate oranges. So if we are to express in terms of X the number of acres of land used to cultivate mangoes, then we are just going to know the fraction of mangoes and multiply by the land. So we have the land has been given as X acres. So for me to know mangoes, the mangoes is going to be 1/4 of X acres, which is 1/4X. Then if I also want oranges, then oranges is also going to be 2/3 of X acres, and that is going to give you 2/3 X. Now, since you have 2/3 X, then what do? We've solved for the I and II. Now, the B is saying that if Madam AC used 20 more acres of the land to cultivate oranges than mangoes, find the value of X. So with the B, from the question is saying that she used 20 more than mangoes for oranges. So we are going to say land for oranges is 20 more than the land used for mangoes. So mangoes happens to be 1/4 X plus 20. She used 20 more than mangoes for the what? For the oranges. And we know that the orange is this. So if I'm to solve for X, then I'm going to say 2/3 X is equal to 1/4 X plus 20. So now that you have an equation, you just solve for X by multiplying through by the LCM, and the LCM is 12. So now we multiply this by 12, by 12, by 12. So we have 12 times 2/3x, which is equal to 12 times 1/4x plus 12 times 20. So 3 here 1, 3 here 4, 4 here 1, 4 here 3. So we have 4 times 2x, which is 8x, which is equal to 3 times 1x, which is 3x, plus 12 times 20 is 240. So with this, we can solve for x by grouping of like terms. So minus 3x is equal to 240. When you subtract, you have 5x is equal to 240. We want x from here. So we divide both sides by 5. We divide also by 5. So 5 will cancel 5. So 5 here 1, 5 here is 48. So if I want the value of x, then x is equal to what? 48. And the x is also what? The number of acres of land. So she's having 48 acres of land. So that is the value of x. Now that you've solved for x, the question C is saying that how many acres of land was used to cultivate mangoes? Now we know that mangoes is 1/4 x. So if I want the land used to cultivate mangoes, then I will just find 1/4 of x, which is 1/4 times 48 acres. So 4 year 1, 4 year 12. So mangoes happens to be what? 12 acres. So she used 12 acres of the land to cultivate mangoes. So this is the question that was given for this is the solution for that. So first we should know that the fraction of the given is that. Then the B is saying that she used 20 more than mangoes. She used 20 more than mangoes for oranges. So down that we have the expression like this. We just solve for x. Now let's look at the D, which is the last one for the question 5. The D is saying that calculate correct to the nearest whole number the percentage of the land that was not used. Now we can also, now that we know, for us to know the land that was not used, we can also calculate the land used for oranges. We already know that the mangoes happens to be 12 acres. So mangoes, she used 12 acres. Then we can also calculate for oranges. Oranges is also 2/3 of 48. So using the long division to calculate, you have 4 1, 3 1 is 3, 6 3 is 18. So she used 16. Then you have 2 times this, which is 32 acres. So mangoes, they use 12 acres. Oranges, they use 32 acres. So if I want the used or total used land is going to be 12 plus 32, which is 44 acres. Which is going to be 44 acres. So if they've used 44, and the total is 48, then the unused land is going to be 48 minus 44, which is 4. So they used 4 acres of land was not used. But you have been asked to calculate for the percentage for that. So for the percentage for this one, all we need to do is what? Is to just divide the unused over the total, multiply by 100%. So 4 year 1, 4 year 12, 2 year 6, 2 year 50, 2 year 25, 2 year 3. So we now have 25 over 3%. So the question said correct to the nearest whole number. So let's use the long division to divide. We have 3 times 3 7 is 21. 3 times 8 is 24. So 3 8 24. 3 8 is 24. 3 3 is 9. So correct to the nearest whole number is going to give you 8%. So this is the portion of the land that was not used. And this is the BECE question 5 solution. All that we need to do is to know what the question is demanding from us, and we should just solve it. We apologize if we've speed up for that. Now let's look at the question. For the question 6 is a graph. So we'll just do the plotting and show the solution to that. Good. So that is the question 6. So the question 6, it says using a scale of 2 centimeters to 2 units on both axes. So with this, looks like you have been given it in a very simple way. So per the intervals you have been given, -10 up to -10 to 10 on the x, -10 to 10 on the y. So on the x we have the -10, we have the 10, and we have the -10 and also 10 for that. Then it says you should on the same graph sheet you have to draw the quadrilateral ABCD. So we have the A, which is 2, 4. We have the B, which is 2, 8. We have the C, which is 8, 8. And the D, which is 8, 4. So that is the ABCD. That's the quadrilateral you have there. Then it says, draw the image A1, B1, C1 of ABCD under a translation vector. So with the translation vector, we always what? Add the point to the vector. We always add the point to the vector. So the point there is 2, 4 plus the vector, then you have each of them like that. So once you are done adding, then you just plot. So plotting will give you the A1, B1, C1 and D1. So that is the image A1, B1, C1 and D1. That is this one. So that is the translation vector. After adding the point to the vector, you see that 2 plus -5 is going to give you -3. Then 2 plus -2 is going to give you 2. So working out and plotting your point, you are going to get this as the A1, B1, C1. Then you were also asked to draw the image A2, B2, C2, D2 of ABCD under a reflection in the y-axis. Under a reflection in the y-axis where A maps to A1. So this is the A and A is mapping to A2. Sorry. So if we are taking the y-axis as our mirror line, then if the object is here, then we are going to see the image here because we are taking the y-axis as the mirror line. So B is having its image to be B2. C is having its image to be C2. A is having as A2 and D is having as D2. So after doing the plotting, this is what you are going to get on your graph sheet. It looks like there is nothing, we have to do nothing here, but you were given a scale. So since you've used the scale, the work happens to be only in the first and the fourth quadrant. Know that we don't use pen for graph since you can't clean because of you cannot erase with a pen. So we always use the pencil. Good. But for explanation's sake and how to make it clear, that is why we use the pen. And you should also label the coordinate on the graph neatly and nicely. And that is that. Now when you come to the C, we've done the II and the III. Now when you come to C, the CI says, what type of quadrilateral is this? So just look at what you've drawn. You can see that is it a rectangle? Is it a square? So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it happens to be a what? A rectangle. So we just write it as that rectangle. That is it. Then the III, it says find the gradient of the line A2, B1. You want the gradient of the line A2, B1. So first of all, we have to know the A2 coordinate and know the B2 coordinate. So let's come and see the A2. A2 is -2, 4. -2, 4. And B1 is -3, 6. B1 is -3, 6. So now that we know the coordinate, we want gradient. And the gradient is calculated as y2 minus y1 all over x2 minus x1. Good. So now, this is x, this is y. This is also x, this is also y. But to differentiate between this x and this x, we say let this one be x1, let this be x2. Let this be y1, sorry, y1, let this one be y2. So this becomes x1, y1, x2, y2. So we just do what we call substitution. We just substitute in order to solve for it. So y2, this is our y2. So 6 minus y1, what is y1? 4. Over x2, what is x2? Negative 3. Minus x1, what is x1? Negative 2. So when this negative meet, it becomes what? Positive. So subtracting 4 from 6 will give you 2 over negative 3 plus 2 will give you negative 1. So we get our gradient to be equal to negative 2 as our answer. So always know that gradient is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. You can bring the y1 first, but know that if you write y2, let it correspond to x2 as its denominator. Then you just indicate the point, the one which is x1, the one which is x2. So for the graph, looks like it was very, very simple, but more there will be penalty here if you are unable to get it correct, because the graph happens to be very, very simple as we can see it on the graph sheet. So you also label your graph nicely and neatly, and that gives you the scores. With the question 5.2, it's very simple. So we just have to know the mangoes, the oranges, and the expression that was given. It says 20 more than mangoes was used for oranges. 20 more than mangoes was used for oranges. So the expression is going to give you this. Solving for x is 48. For mangoes, you have it there like that. Then you are good to go. With the D, we can even use the fraction spent and fraction left to even solve for the D, and that also gives us 8%, correct to the nearest whole number. Thank you for staying tuned. We end the solution of the BECE 2023 here. We will meet again and we will be looking at equations, that is linear inequalities. Thank you very much. Stay tuned. Bye-bye.